The sky was dark with smoke. Fire burned on the broken ground. Metal ships lay scattered like broken toys. The war had left nothing behind, only silence and pain. Zara crawled through the wreckage, holding her baby close. Her arms were shaking. Her body was weak. Her clothes were torn, and blood dripped from her leg. But none of that mattered. Only her baby mattered. The child, small and gray-skinned, was no longer crying. That scared her more than anything. "Please, just breathe," she whispered, rocking the baby gently. Her milk was gone. Her body had stopped producing days ago. She had tried everything: leaves, herbs, old rations, but nothing worked. The baby hadn't eaten in 2 days. Zara's people were gone, their ship destroyed. The others had run or died. She had no medicine, no food, no hope. She found shelter inside the broken wall of an old human structure. Maybe it was once a base. Now it was just ruins. But it would keep the cold wind away. She sat down and held her child tightly. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I tried." A tear rolled down her cheek and fell onto the baby's face. The baby didn't move. Suddenly, a sound. Footsteps. Her heart stopped. She pulled out a small blade from her belt. She had no strength, but she would fight if she had to. She waited, breathing quietly, heart pounding. Then she saw him. A human. Tall, covered in dust and armor. He had a bag on his back and a gun slung on his shoulder, but he didn't aim it. He looked tired, like he had walked a long way. His face was dirty, but his eyes were calm. Zara held the blade up. "Stay back," she warned, her voice hoarse. Man raised his hand slowly. "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't trust him. Why would she? Humans had attacked her people, bombed their cities, started this war. I said stay back. She shouted again. He looked at the baby in her arms. His eyes changed, softer, concerned. "Is the child hurt?" he asked. Zara didn't answer. He stepped a little closer. She tensed. He knelt down, slowly, like approaching a wild animal. Then he opened his bag and pulled out a small water pack and a sealed food tube. "You can't feed her," he said gently. "But maybe I can help." Zara's blade shook in her hand. Her arms were too weak. The man placed the water and food near a rock, then stepped back. "Take it," he said. "No tricks." She didn't move. He added, "The baby needs more." "Then your strength. Let me help." Zara looked down at her child. The tiny face was too still. No movement. No sound. Her heart broke. She reached for the water. It was warm, clean. She let a few drops fall into the baby's mouth. Still no reaction. She picked up the food tube and looked at it. The label was in human language. She didn't understand. The man stepped closer again. "Here, let me," he said. She hesitated, then nodded. He pulled out a small device and connected it to the food tube. A slow, soft feeding line came out. He tested it, then gently placed the tube near the baby's mouth. Zara let him help. Minutes passed. She watched the baby's chest. Then suddenly the baby coughed. A weak sound, a small breath, then a soft, soft cry. Zara's eyes filled with tears. She looked at the human, speechless. The man smiled a little. "Good," he said. "She's fighting." Zara didn't say thank you. She didn't know if she trusted him. But she let him sit beside her. For now, for this moment, she was not alone. And maybe, just maybe, her child would live. The baby was alive, but just barely. Zara kept her child close, wrapped in the warm cloth the human had given her. She hadn't slept in 2 days, but now, for a moment, her eyes grew heavy. The human sat near the entrance of the ruined wall, watching the burned sky. He hadn't touched his gun. Not once. Zara opened her eyes and stared at him. Why? She asked quietly. Why help me? The man turned his head, but didn't speak right away. After a pause, he said, Because no one helped my child. His voice was calm, but something behind it felt broken like an old scar. Zara didn't know what to say. The man reached into his bag and pulled out a small cube. He pressed a button, and soft heat filled the room. Then he pulled out a dry pack of human food and offered her a bite. She didn't take it. He didn't push. Instead, he looked at the child in her arms. She's strong, he said. She just needs time. Zara held the child closer. She is all I have. Silence returned. Then a faint beeping sound broke it. The man looked at his wrist device. Scanners nearby. He whispered. ZHARA tensed. Your people? He shook his head. No. Could be anyone. Could be both. He stood and walked to the far wall, scanning the horizon through a broken hole. Then he looked back at her. You can stay here, he said, or you can come with me. She narrowed her eyes. And go where? I know a place, he said. Old medical outpost. Still has supplies. Zara looked down at her child, who was breathing soft and slow. She was warmer now. Color had returned to her cheeks. Then she looked back up at the man. If this is a trap, he raised his hands again. No tricks, he said. I didn't raise my weapon when I saw you. I won't raise it now. Zara stood slowly. Her legs shook, but she managed to stay up. She nodded. I'll go, she said. But if you hurt her, I won't, he replied. He turned to lead the way, but just as they stepped outside, the air shifted. Zara stopped. Something didn't feel right. From behind a wrecked ship, movement. A sound like metal scraping metal. Then red laser light flashed across the sky. Incoming. The man yelled. He grabbed Zara's arm and pulled her down behind a wall as plasma fire hit the ground near them. Zara covered the baby with her body. Who is it? She cried. Could be scavengers. Or bounty hunters, he shouted. Doesn't matter, we run. He tossed her a light armor plate and slung his rifle from his back. You said you wouldn't raise your weapon, she said. He looked at her. I said I wouldn't raise it on you. He kicked open a side door in the building, then scanned the streets. Follow me, and hold the baby tight. Zara nodded, wrapping her child tighter in the cloth. They sprinted through ash-covered streets, hiding behind debris, ducking blasts from attackers. Zara saw the man move fast, almost too fast for a normal human. His body armor was old, but strong. He was protecting her more than himself. They slid behind a thick piece of wreckage. I know where we are now, he said, catching his breath. Outposts 10 clicks north. Zara looked at him. What's your name? David, he replied. Medic, 13th Division. And you? She hesitated. Zara. Civilian ... mother. David nodded. Then the baby made a small sound. A soft whimper. Alive. A sign of strength. David smiled for a second before laser blasts hit closer. We keep moving, he said. For her. Asterisk. The cave was silent, except for the soft crackle of the heat cube. Zara sat close to the wall, her arms wrapped around her baby. The child hadn't made a sound since the run through the ruins. Her tiny chest rose. But too slowly. Too weak. David was at the entrance, setting up a motion alarm. He looked calm, but Zara could see his worry behind those tired eyes. She felt it too. Her hands trembled as she touched the baby's face. Cold. She's slipping again, she whispered. David walked over. Let me see. Zara hesitated, then slowly handed him the baby. For a moment, her heart nearly stopped. It felt wrong to let her go. David sat cross-legged, pulling off one glove. His skin was warm. He gently placed the baby against his bare chest, wrapping his thermal vest around both of them. She needs body heat. Skin to skin, he said softly. Zara watched with wide eyes. No one in her tribe had ever done such a thing. To her, it looked strange, too intimate. But it was working. After a minute, the baby gave a twitch, then another, then a breath. A deep, clear breath. And finally, a cry, soft, but real, alive, Z-A covered her mouth, tears spilling from her eyes. It was the first time she had cried in front of him. David gently smiled. There it is, he whispered. Zara crawled closer and held the baby's hand. She's strong, he said, just like her mother. Zara looked at him. Why do? You care so much? He didn't answer right away. I had a daughter, he said, during the first wave of the war. She died on a refugee ship. No medicine, no food, no help. No one came. Zara's eyes softened. I came too late, David said quietly. But this time, I won't be too late. They sat in silence, letting the moment breathe. Then a beep. David's wrist device flashed a weak signal. He checked it and looked up. There's a weather shift coming. Acid rain in 6 hours. We need shelter. There's a cave system east of here, Zara offered. My people used to hide there. David nodded. We'll head there by nightfall. Zara picked up her child, now warm, now breathing better, and looked down at her. You're not dying today, she whispered. Not while I still have breath. Hours later, the wind howled outside. Yellow clouds rolled across the sky. Lightning cracked in green bolts, but inside the cave, they were safe. David had managed to get a fire started using emergency gel. He shared dry rations with Zara, breaking them into small pieces. I never thought I'd sit in a cave, feeding an alien mom and her baby, he chuckled. Zara smirked. I never thought a human would be the reason my child still lives. The baby was asleep, nestled safely between them. Her color was stronger now. Breathing steady, Zara looked at David again. Your people, they taught you to heal. Mine taught me only how to run. David shook his head. You didn't run. You fought with nothing but your will. Zara said nothing, but her heart felt a warmth she hadn't known in a long time. Then, deep in the cave, a noise, a click, then another. Zara froze. David stood quickly, gun drawn. Movement, he said, from the darkness. 2 glowing red eyes appeared. Then 3 more. Zara clutched her baby. Predators, native to this region. David aimed his gun. Back up slowly. The creatures stepped into the light, 4-legged, with jagged skin and twitching jaws. They hissed low, sensing weakness. Zara whispered, they smell blood. David didn't hesitate. He tossed a flare deep into the cave, the light and heat making the creatures. Pause, then he picked up a small metal disc and tapped it twice. It beeped, then began to hum. Flashbang, he warned. Zara covered the baby's head. Boom, light, sound. Screeches. The cave shook, and the creatures ran back into the dark. Silence returned. David exhaled. Let's not sleep too deeply tonight. Zara nodded, holding her child tighter. But deep inside her, something had changed. Not just survival. Trust, not a small, fragile trust was forming between alien and human. Born in fear, fed by hope. The storm had passed, but silence didn't mean safety. David packed fast, eyes scanning the cave entrance. Zara wrapped her baby tighter. The child was awake now, blinking, hungry again. David tossed her a nutrition packet. It's not much, but it's enough for a few hours. Zara nodded. Where now? He looked down at his wrist display. There's an old human supply station, still off-grid. If the solar cores still work, We'll find meds, food, maybe shelter. Zara looked unsure. Is it far? Far enough that we'll need to move fast, he said, and quiet. She nodded. But before they could step out, a voice echoed from outside the cave. Medic David, Keen, you are harboring a war fugitive. Surrender now. Zara's eyes widened. She held the baby close. David's jaw tightened. That's my command unit, he muttered. They found me. Another voice followed. This one alien her people's voice. Zara of the Kirill. You are charged with desertion and enemy cooperation. Step outside. Zara's knees shook. They're working together? She whispered. David nodded grimly. A joint patrol. Peace talks must have moved fast, or they want to clean up quietly. Zara's voice turned to anger. They don't care about the child. Just control. David raised his gun. We're not going with them, Zara said. Even if they don't shoot, they'll take her. The baby let out a small cry. David looked down. That sound did something to him. Not just duty now, this was family. Out the back, he said. They turned into a narrow tunnel in the cave system. Dark, wet, but it led to open land beyond the ridge. Behind them, heavy footsteps echoed. Flashlights, voices, hunting. Outside. Minutes later, they ran down a dry riverbed. Ash blew in the wind. The supply station was marked on David's map, but they were out in the open. Now too open. Zara's legs gave out. She fell to her knees, panting. I can't. My body. David knelt beside her. You carried her through fire. You can go 10 more steps. I'm not worried about me, she said. I'm worried about you. They'll brand you traitor. David smiled faintly. Already am. He picked her up carefully and carried both mother and child on his back. They crossed a ridge and saw it at last. An old human bunker, half buried in sand, but not dead. Solar lights flickered. David kicked the old metal door once, twice, until it opened with a groan. Inside, darkness, dust. But air still flowed. And so did hope. Inside the bunker. David laid Zara down gently. On a cot. The baby suckled weakly from a nutrient bottle. Her grip was stronger, her eyes brighter. Zara watched David power up old equipment. Why did you run from your people? David checked a scanner. Because orders changed. He sat down slowly beside her. They told me to leave a family behind. Said they were not part of the mission. I didn't follow that order either. Zara looked at him. You don't follow rules well, do you? David chuckled. I follow the ones that matter. Suddenly the alarm beeped. Zara sat up. They found us again? David scanned the radar. No, not them. Then his voice changed. Something worse. From the edge of the scanner, a large red shape appeared. Big, fast. Hunter drone, David whispered. Military grade. No questions, no warnings. Zara held her baby tight. What do we do? David stood. He took off his badge. His military ID. His last connection to the world that betrayed them. He crushed it under his boot. We do what they don't. He said, we protect the innocent. Asterisk. The drone was coming. Its mechanical scream echoed across the desert wind as it moved toward the old bunker faster than anything alive. Inside, David loaded his last energy cell into his rifle. One drone? He said to himself. Still one too many. Zara stood near the far wall, clutching her child. The baby was calm for now, but Zara wasn't. You can't fight that thing alone, she said. David didn't look back. Not fighting, just buying time. He placed a small emergency beacon into her hand. There's a canyon 1/2 mile west. Go through the crack in the stone wall. Signal when you're safe. Zara shook her head. I won't leave you. You will. David said. Because that baby doesn't survive if we both stay. The child let out a small cry. David looked over his shoulder. She doesn't know I'm not her kind. Doesn't care. That's why she deserves to live. Zara's voice broke. You'll die. He gave her a sad smile. Maybe, but I won't let her die. Not again. He turned and opened the outer blast door. Wind blew in. Dust howled. The sound of metal legs grew louder. Zara stared at the device in her hand, then at David's back, then at her baby. She turned, heart-breaking, and ran through the old tunnel exit behind the storage shelves. Every step felt like betrayal. But every breath from her baby pushed her forward. Outside. Minutes later, David stood alone in the open. His boots dug into the sand. The drone appeared six-legged, armored, glowing red eyes. Target locked. Unidentified human. Stand down. You are harboring enemy species. Authorization for lethal action granted. David didn't answer. He aimed. Fired. The first shot hit the drone's eye. It stumbled, but not for long. A blast of heat fired back, knocking David to the ground. His armor smoked. He coughed, bleeding from the mouth. But he got up. Again. I'm not your enemy, he whispered, but I'll be your wall. Meanwhile, in the canyon, Zara stumbled across rocks, her legs giving out more than once. The baby was warm against her chest. The signal beacon blinked, still working. She reached the narrow stone wall David had described, but stopped. She turned. Far in the distance. A flash of light. Smoke rising. Something inside her cracked. I can't leave him, she whispered. She looked at her child. He didn't leave us. She pressed the beacon into the baby's wrap, secured it tight between layers of cloth, and placed the baby gently in a shaded hollow under a ledge. Then Zara ran. Back into the storm. Back at the bunker. David knelt now, legs barely holding. The drone was damaged, sparking and limping, but still deadly. He raised his rifle for one last shot, but nothing. Empty. He closed his eyes, waiting for the end. Then a cry, not from the baby, from behind. The drone. Zhara. She jumped onto the machine's back, slamming a heavy metal rod into a cooling vent. The drone twisted, trying to shake her off. David looked up, stunned. Zara screamed. Using every bit of strength left, the rod struck deep. A sudden pulse. The drone collapsed. Dead. Smoke poured from its body. Zara fell next to it, coughing, bleeding. David crawled to her side. You came back, he whispered. She smiled weakly. Not my species, but still my duty. David stared at her, speechless. She reached into her wrap and pulled out the baby. Still warm, still safe, still alive. Hours later, David and Zara sat in the bunker again, both wrapped in emergency blankets. Baby slept between them, one tiny hand resting on David's chest. Zara looked at him. You're not like the others. David looked at the baby. Neither is she. Zara leaned back against the wall. They were wounded, hunted, alone, but four. The first time, they weren't afraid, not anymore. Asterisk. The baby laughed. A tiny sound, soft and pure, echoing in the cold steel room of the bunker. Zara smiled, touching her daughter's cheek. The child was stronger, now feeding better, breathing easier. Across the room, David cleaned his wounds. His hands were slow, stiff with pain. The blast from the drone had burned deep, but he didn't complain. Zara stood and walked toward him. You should rest. David shook his head. Later. Just want to be ready if anything else comes knocking. She gently took the cloth from his hand. You helped us. Let me help you. He didn't argue. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then a soft beep from the console. David froze. That's not one of mine. He moved to the panel, and tapped the screen. An image flashed. 2 ships approaching fast. One bore the mark of Zara's people. Zara's blood ran cold. My people? She whispered. David narrowed his eyes. They're not coming to say hello. Minutes later, the 2 ships landed near the ridge. Zara stood by the bunker door, baby in her arms. David handed her a small escape flare. If they take you, wait for dark fire. I'll come. Zara gripped the flare tight. Don't come out unless I signal, she said. David nodded, then stepped into the open. Zara watched through a narrow crack in the door. 2 figures approached from the lead ship. One wore military robes of the Kirill authority. The other was her sister. Zara, the officer called. You are alive. Zara stepped forward. Barely, she said. Her sister's eyes went to the baby. Is it yours? Zara nodded. She survived because of a human. The officer's face hardened. So the rumors are true. You gave yourself to the enemy? Zara felt heat rise in her chest. No, I gave everything to save her. She is Kirill, her sister said. We will take her. You will be cleansed. Zara stepped back. You will not touch her. The officer raised a hand. 2 soldiers approached from behind the ship. Zara's eyes flicked to the hills. Still no sign from David. The officer continued. You abandoned your post. You mingled with a human. You are unclean. Zara shouted. Then I will remain unclean. She turned, ran toward the bunker, but one soldier grabbed her arm. The baby cried out. Zara kicked, screamed, but the grip was too strong, and a single shot rang out. The soldier dropped. Stunned. David stood on a ledge above the ridge, weapon aimed. Step away from her, he said. Another shot fired, this time from the soldiers. David ducked behind cover. Zara broke free, running into the bunker with the child. She slammed the door shut and locked it. David rolled down the slope and followed, just before the soldiers could fire again. Inside the bunker. They'll break in soon, David said. Zara panted, holding the baby. We have to run. No, you and the baby run, he said. I'll slow them down. No, she snapped. You're not throwing your life away again. David looked at the baby, now quiet, now watching. She gave me a reason to keep living, he whispered. I won't let them erase that. Zara reached for his hand. Then we don't run. We stand. Outside? The Kirill officer gave the command. Breach the bunker. As soldiers approached, the baby's cry echoed again from inside, loud and clear. The officer hesitated. Zara stepped out, holding her daughter, standing tall. She has human blood in her now, Zara said. Not by bloodline, but by mercy. By love, you can kill us, but that truth will live. The soldiers lowered their weapons slightly. Then David stepped out beside her, rifle ready. The officer looked at them both, then slowly turned. No one speaks of this, he said. Leave this place, don't return. They left without another word. Later that night, Zara, David, and the baby sat under the stars outside the old bunker. She's going to grow up in a world where no one owns her, Zara whispered. David nodded, and she knew the 2 enemies became a family. Zara leaned against him. For the first time, the war felt far away. Asterisk, the stars were quiet. Now. No ships in the sky, no soldiers. No drones. Only peace. David sat on a rock, sharpening a piece of scrap metal into a tool. Nearby, Zara bathed the baby with warm cloth water in a small basin made from a helmet. The child laughed. Her tiny hands reached up toward the sun. It was the first time David had seen her laugh like that. He smiled without meaning to. She likes the warmth, Zara said softly. David nodded. She was born in fire. Now she lives in light. 3 months later, The old bunker had become something new. Solar panels lined the outer rocks. Rain collectors filled large containers. A small garden grew in the dusty soil. David worked quietly while Zara read from a datapad, teaching her daughter the sound of new words in both human and Kariel language. She will speak both, Zara said. She will belong to neither, but be loved by both. David smiled. That's what makes her special. Later that evening, Zara sat beside David on the hill above the bunker. The stars were brighter now. The air cooler, safer. She held her. Baby close, wrapped in soft cloth. She has your eyes, David said. Zara looked at him. And your spirit. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then David said, what will we tell her? When she asks who I am. Zara looked at him then, down at her child. I'll say he was the one who could have walked away, but didn't. David looked away, blinking fast. She'll ask why you helped. Zara continued. I'll say because one human decided her life mattered more than war, more than orders, more than bloodlines. David chuckled softly. That's a long answer. She deserves a full one, Zara replied. Flash forward 1 year later, the child was walking now. Stumbling steps, bright eyes. Zara and David watched her chase a small butterfly between the garden rows. David leaned close. I never thought I'd live to see this. Zara nodded. I never thought I'd trust a human. Then she reached for his hand. I never thought I'd love one. David's hand tightened gently around hers. She gave us both a reason, he said. Final scene. A small recording device sat on a rock. Zara pressed record. Her voice, clear and strong, echoed into the wind. To anyone who finds this, we were not supposed to survive. A soldier, a mother, a child from a dying world. But one human refused to let her die. He gave her warmth. He gave her food. He gave her a chance. He gave us life. She turned off the recorder. David walked up, holding the child in his arms. She giggled and pointed at the stars. Those are your people, he said. Zara smiled. No, those are her people now. Because this child, born of two enemies, would carry something new into the galaxy. A legacy not of war but of mercy. Of life *the end.